record on this computer. All right, we're recording. What's up, everyone?
What's
We
going
are
on?
in another week of the fantasy football season, going into week 6. Another weekly podcast with your commissioner, Brian Spozit. Of course, we got Samuel Garza and
What's
Scott
happening, people?
Berghoff. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and then we can talk about the standings real fast, and we can just go to each matchup of the week. Which, Sam, congratulations. I haven't written the report yet, but you and Chad are going to be matchup of the week this week.
My bad. How do I delete? Sorry.
All right, so far this season, we're 5 games in. These standings are pretty crazy. If you guys remember last year, do you remember how there was like 8 teams battling for 6 spots all season?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think last year, since we had 2 divisions, that was the one division that was completely stacked. Like every team was over 500, and then the other division was pretty trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one division thing, I'm not gonna lie, I actually voted against it during voting.
I like it, man.
Yeah, I think long term it's nice, but I kind of like the divisions just because it's kind of part of football.
I mean, it gave you something to complain about last year about how the one division was so much better.
Exactly. And so now if I can't do well, I have nothing to complain about. So yeah, so we got Justin 5-0, clearly the leading horse in our league so far. Team's been dominant. Then we got 2 teams.
Am I
Actually,
wrong? I thought Justin was going to almost lose towards Sunday night. Wasn't he down?
dude, Justin was winning by like 7 against the Chiefs defense and Chris Olave for RJ, and somehow Justin won.
That's what it was. I thought, okay. Yeah. I thought I was gonna be like right there.
Justin and
I actually thought I was gonna beat him in points, but I didn't catch up.
Justin and I were texting each other on Monday night. He's like, "Holy shit, I can't believe I won." Poor RJ. But yeah, and then you got you two, both 4-1, right behind Justin. And then you got Dan, Chad, myself at 3-2. Jimmy and Mike at 2-3, and then the rest of the league at 1-4. And you want to know what's something crazy? I was looking at the schedules for everyone today. Justin 5-0 plays Kevin this week 1-4. I at 3-2 play Mario at 1-4. Scott, you're 4-1, and you play Johnny at 1-4. I'm hoping all these 1-4 teams just get pounded and just keep losing. Yeah, I mean, the more teams that get knocked out early, the better, in my opinion, for myself. And then the points scored, Justin is up quite a bit on Sam here, up 32 points. Then Sam, your second league in scoring. Scott and I neck and neck, and then Dan, Chad, RJ. I actually feel really bad for RJ. If you look at the points against, I posted this in the group me the other day. Teams are averaging 125 a week against RJ.
That's kind of brutal. There's always a team like that, right? Everybody plays their best game against them.
Yep. And then crazy to think about, though it doesn't really matter because he's leading the league in scoring. Justin's also the least scored against team in fantasy.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy.
Good D there, Justin.
So that means Justin is just ripping teams to shreds. But yeah, standings are cool so far. I don't know. For some of these 1-4 teams, I feel like it's starting to get kind of a must-win territory. You can't fall too many games back. And I know we have 6 teams. 6 teams make the playoffs, but those spots are going to fill up eventually.
Yeah, but it's still a long season, 6 playoff spots. Who's in sixth right now? Is that Chad at 3-2?
Yeah.
So it's really still only a 2-game difference. So a lot can happen, especially with bye weeks. So, keep your head up, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I hear it all the time. The guys that I listen to on podcasts, they're talking about all the time. They're like, "Oh, my team was out 0-5, and I made the playoffs and I won it. It
Yep.
happens.
I mean, the goal is just to make the playoffs, and then anyone can win in the playoffs. Your team just has to have a couple good weeks. That's it.
Yeah.
And the best part about losing, you get the high waiver priority.
Well, unfortunately, this year there's been nothing on the waivers.
That also true, but trying to look on the bright side here.
Really hoping that we go do it with waivers. I really would like the Fab.
Sorry,
I am
Sam. I
Fab.
know
I am pro Fab.
it's been on the ballot for 1 year and it was turned down. You can try again next year.
It will happen again next year.
All right, so let's take a look at these matchups we got this week. ESPN always doing the freaking fantasy cast ads. Cool. All right, so first one we got myself versus Mario. Thankfully Mario's on bye week hell this week for me. I mean, dude, Mario's got Travis Kelce, Worthy, Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, and whoever this kicker is on a bye.
Why is he holding it? I mean, I'm gonna hold my kicker, but I have the best kicker in the world.
Yeah, Brandon Aubrey's a little cheat code at kicker. But
And if I recall correctly, he picked up both of those kickers on waivers this week. It wasn't like just pick up a kicker for a bye week. I believe he picked both of those guys up this week, although I could be misspeaking.
yeah, I have no idea, but I love seeing this projection so far, though projections don't really mean a ton. I am curious if Trey Sermon doesn't play or if Jonathan Taylor plays, he's going to have to drop someone. I'm assuming he would drop Trey Sermon and pick up someone off waivers to play in the flex because he doesn't have a flex play on his bench. But Kirk Cousins against Carolina is a great matchup. Josh Jacobs has been overrated for years. He's kind of a touchdown or bust. Shout out to Ramondre Stevenson. The first game last week, he didn't fumble this season. His
I
four-game
almost wanted to pick up Antonio Gibson because I was like, man, if he fumbles again, and they say, you know what, you're kind of done for a moment. I think Antonio Gibson's a good pickup, but not. I don't know. I mean, I've always, Brian, we have our people that we like. Antonio Gibson is one of those guys that I like, and I don't know why he can't ever make it onto the actual starting lineups.
Yeah. Yeah, and Amari Cooper, Scott, I was at your place on Sunday. We were talking about how bad this Browns offense is. I am predicting Amari Cooper has a big game on Sunday, and if not, I'm willing to bet he gets dealt with in the next couple of weeks from Cleveland.
I think he might get dealt regardless. That Browns offense is just disgusting. Then you see some of the clips from the L-22, and Watson's leaving a perfectly clean pocket while three receivers are open. So, not good times in Cleveland.
Nope, and thankfully Saquon is back off his bye. He's going against the Browns defense, which has been shredded, so that's great for me. DK Metcalf, I was wondering why this was changing colors, but I just remember that he's playing tonight. Wendell Robinson, the giant wide receiver. I love me some Wendell Robinson in terms of real football for fantasy. He's just been a nice player so far. I mean, he's ranked 19th in the position, averaging nearly 14 points a game. This was a great pickup by Mario.
He gets a lot.
Yeah, and that could be even better this week. I don't know if Neighbors is playing, if he cleared concussion protocol.
Look at those
I
targets.
guess we'll get to that later.
14 targets in Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the game against the Cowboys, and Sam, I don't know if you were watching when the Giants played the Cowboys. Wendell was catching one ball for 6 yards every other play.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's what the Giants have to do. So he's a great PPR guy. Without PPR, I don't know if he's much value, but with PPR is fantastic. Let's see. Terry McLaurin should have a big week this week against the Baltimore defense because they've just been getting absolutely shredded.
Brian, not to cut you off here, but I think you'll be happy to know DK with a nice catch and run just now in the game.
Oh, fantastic.
So getting off the
Oh
scoring
yeah, like
going.
what was that? An 8-yard
Nice.
freaking come across?
Yeah,
Yeah, and then he
scored
just
fantasy
kept
points.
going.
Yeah.
That guy is a freak in nature. And then DeAndre Swift has been a great trade so far where I traded with Mike. He plays at 9:30 in London against Jacksonville's terrible defense. And then he's got the Niners defense playing tonight, and I picked up the man who I should never have dropped to begin with, the legend, Young Koo.
Yeah, okay. And you know, Mario tried to pick him up also. It was unsuccessful.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm thrilled that I'm the one who got him then.
Yeah.
Though
So-
Brian Thomas has been absolutely killing it, top 10 receiver so far, 5 weeks in. He is sitting on my bench this week. Chicago has a very nice defense so far. Chicago's kind of a sneaky team.
Yeah, but man, who else are they going to use? I would put him in the lineup.
Who would you
Play
take?
your studs. I would take. Let me see here.
Yeah,
I would probably take Terry out.
You think so?
Actually, I would take DeAndre Swift out and put what's his name in?
Brian Thomas.
Yep.
I've considered it.
I don't think you can really go wrong there. Swift has really come alive the last 2 weeks after being a non-factor first couple weeks of the season.
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah,
I mean,
it
when you're
seems like
touching,
he does that, right?
when you're touching the ball around 18, 20 times, you have to be at least flex worthy. And so if he falls in the end zone, it's even better. But
Is
yeah,
that a pick?
Yeah.
damn it, Gino. So this week, going up against Mario, I'm going to predict that I get the dub. Sam, what do you think?
Well, let's see here. I think that you get the dub. Yeah, I mean, just his firepower is just not there. Kyle Pitts, I dropped him. I know that he scored, what did he score? 20 points, 15 points? I can't remember. 15 points. Dude, look at what he did before that. I mean,
Oh.
dud.
Dude, Kyle
That
Pitts
one,
was
look at that 11.6 was a TD. He only had 3 targets.
dude, Kyle Pitts was like a top 6 pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him. That's got to be like mental or something. But didn't they say he like last year? Oh, I can't turn. He couldn't turn left or something like that. It was something kind of crazy. You're like, really? Like that's why you can't run routes.
No idea. Scott, prediction for the week?
Yeah, I think you win pretty easily. There's just way more firepower.
Yeah,
Your
I saw-
flex is
I saw
on par
something.
with their wide receiver too, running
I
back
saw
too.
something today. Let's take a look at Mario's schedule real fast. Last week he played Chad. This week he's got me. Next week Sam. Next week Scott. The week after that Sam, and then Dan. This
gauntlet.
stretch right here is
He's
a
gonna be done.
brutal stretch.
Especially for someone who's got to turn it on and turn it on quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully that win streak doesn't start this week. Hopefully it starts next week, but good luck to you, my friend Mario. So let's go on to the next one. Johnny versus Scott. And boy, is this a rivalry brewing. Johnny has surpassed Chad in terms of hatred and moved that on to you, Scott. So congratulations.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I did to Johnny. I don't know if it's a jealousy thing just because my team's that much better than his, but whatever. I'm here for it. But we're treating it like any other week.
So let's start with the quarterback. CJ Stroud versus Jaden Daniels. Scott, I was at your place last Sunday. Even in a bad game for Jaden Daniels, he did not look great. He still put up nearly 20 fantasy points. He's going to be a fancy cheat code for years to come if he's healthy.
Yeah, I saw something on the Twitters today that was kind of concerning though. I guess 90% of his pass attempts are to the right side, to like the right of him, the right side of the field, not the left side. So talk about Kyle Pitts can't turn left. Might be an issue for Jaden Daniels too. Although I didn't fact check it, so might not actually be true.
Well, I guess next game, I'll be looking out to see if he ever throws the ball to the left side of the field. CJ Stroud is nice, but I'm expecting he takes a little bit of a hit because Nico's out. I think CJ Stroud is a much better NFL quarterback than he is a fantasy quarterback. I think Houston will be good for years to come, but in terms of fantasy purposes, I don't think CJ Stroud will be tracking within the top 5 at the end of the year.
Scott, I mean, Washington versus Cincinnati, man, yeah, he threw a lot to the right. But I mean, it might be that Terry McLaurin's over there, and then who do you have on the left?
Who was that guy that caught the touchdown?
It was that dude who toasted the Browns defense
De'Ami
several
Brown.
times. De'Ami Brown.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that could be it.
Sam, we had the same reaction when De'Ami Brown was catching 6 balls against the Browns. We're like, who is this dude? And then the running backs, Johnny is very, very tight at running back when he went with his strategy of picking CMC number 1 and then not picking another running back. So now he's got Tajay Spears and Antonio Gibson as his 2 running back horses
Oh, that's
versus
brutal, man.
ETN and Montgomery. Clearly, Scott has the huge advantage here. Scott, you and I have been talking. I'm a little nervous for ETN. Tank Bigsby is going to be a bigger part of that team, but this week, you just can't go wrong when you're playing against Tajay Spears and Sam's boy Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, I know I said to you on the record that I wasn't worried about anyone named Tank. It's just not a threatening name. But off the record, I was definitely trying to acquire him on waivers this week and just was unsuccessful.
Who
I
ended up
just
picking him up?
Little Giants.
Okay, Kevin got him. Well, good. I'm glad. Kevin needed a running back too. And then the receivers, this is Johnny's strength on his team, Marvin Harrison, DJ Morse. But the problem is he's going up against CeeDee Lamb and T. Higgins. T. Higgins, when healthy, could be a wide receiver 1 on just about every other team other than the Bengals. And obviously CeeDee Lamb, one of the best receivers in football.
I heard you last week about T. Higgins, and I've never, and I think it's because, and you said it right, he's hurt all the time, and I just don't like guys that get hurt all the time. I know he can blow up and stuff like that, but if I can't rely on you, I don't try to pick you up.
Yeah, well, the other thing with Cincinnati, they just don't run the ball. They just air it out with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and even when they do run the ball, it's just to set up the throw. But T. Higgins is nice. Last week, he torched me to give Scott the victory in his 3rd game of the season. Just absolutely slaughtered the Ravens, as he usually does. Tight ends. This is the good news for Johnny. Mark Andrews last week scored 9 points. The bad news is he had 2 straight goose eggs. Mark Andrews might be the biggest bust in fantasy football so far this season.
5 targets.
And go ahead, Sam.
Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and Johnny's trying to move him. And DJ Moore. He really doesn't like DJ Moore. He wants to trade him.
Well, I don't think it's like he doesn't like DJ Moore. It's just he needs something. And DJ Moore is the only asset on this team other than Marvin Harrison that anyone would give up a running back for.
Also fair.
I mean, I told him I'd give him Mostert. Although I told him I also wanted CMC. I can't remember who else. I offered up a couple of people for DJ Moore and CMC. Did you see the Mason just made it? Oh, he's still going. And he's still going.
Is he gone?
Not gone, but gone.
And then Johnny's flex, Calvin Ridley. I mean, look at this. 8 points, 24, 1.9, 2.5.
That's another guy. I just do not trust him. I do not trust Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley can go for 25 any given week, and I'd be like, yeah. But he can also go for 2, and I'd be like, yeah.
Very boomer bust and quarterback dependent.
He's a head case.
Yeah, but shout out to him. All he did was gamble, and he got suspended. And then James Cook, Scott, I saw something today that he's questionable because he has toe turf.
Yes, that is correct.
I don't know anything about toe turf. Is that like a serious injury or no?
Not serious, but it's nagging and can definitely affect
you can't
how
cut.
you run.
Yeah, you can't cut as well. Deion Sanders used to have that, like, in the '90s, whenever the Cowboys were winning. Um, and yeah, it affected him a lot. Like every day or every game, he'd go out there and try to test it and try to play and couldn't do it. So
Well, that
yeah, I think it's the
sucks.
it's the cutting and doing all that stuff.
That sucks for the Bills because James Cook couldn't cut to begin with, so I can't imagine what he's going to be like now.
Huh.
You knew you wouldn't like that one, Scott. And then
I
Johnny, of
don't know. I
course,
don't like that one.
Aaron Jones on a bye. Remember, he gave up Chris Godwin to get Aaron Jones because he needed it. Nick Chubb should be coming back soon, but who knows what he'll be like when he comes back. And then, Scott, you have Jerome Ford on the bench, who's just a nice RB2 just to play in your flex or running back if you ever need. And then, yeah, we talked about some of these guys last week. Hopefully, Cooper Kupp comes back. I think the NFL is just nicer when Cooper Kupp is balling.
Yeah. You know, having Cup would be great. I was considering honestly playing Jameson Williams this week. Still might. He's another guy who's pretty boomer bust, but because of that, I didn't think it made sense to play with a safer bet because Johnny doesn't have a lot of big guys that are likely going to go off for 30.
Yeah,
So make sure
you
we're
don't
putting up points in.
I would really think about playing him. Dallas. Well, I don't know. Bland. He practiced in full today, so if they have Bland and they have Diggs out there, it's going to be hard. I mean, Goff is going to probably throw a couple of interceptions, but that means they're just going to have to throw even more.
Yeah,
Uh,
Yeah,
if Jameson Williams just got a little bit more target or a little bit more usage, he'd be fantastic. First game he got 9 targets, second game he got 11, and then the last 2 he had a total of 5. So I can see what you mean
yeah,
there,
and
Rusty.
the Lions have a lot of weapons on offense with Amon-Ra. They get Laporta more involved, and then 2 running backs. So
Yeah, Lions are a nice squad. And this week, Scott, I got you with a pretty easy dub over Johnny, unfortunately for myself and for Johnny. Sam?
I believe that's how it's going to go.
All
I
right.
mean, if you're having to start Tajay Spears, man, that's rough.
Yeah, Sam, what are your thoughts about Travis Etienne for the rest of the year? You think he holds that Jacksonville job, or do you think Tank Bigsby takes it over by the end?
I don't think that he totally takes it over. I think that it becomes a 50-50, and I think the Tank Bigsby probably has a little bit more pop than ETN, so he might get longer runs. Um, but they drafted him to take over that job.
Yeah. It's good for Jacksonville, not great for fantasy owners of Travis Etienne. So let's move on to Justin versus Kevin. Obviously, Justin being 5-0, Kevin needs to get some of these dubs in, starting off 1-4, but he started off very poorly last year, nearly made the postseason. So who knows? Could rattle off 6 wins in a row like he did last year. Jalen Hurts versus Cleveland. He should have a field day. Eagles should put up a lot of points. Lamar versus Washington. That's going to be super cool to see Lamar versus Jaden Daniels. Lamar's the #1 quarterback so far. I mean, look at these numbers. He's just putting up numbers. He's just, when he gets to run,
he's so good.
It's just unfair for fantasy.
He's so good.
How many yards did he
Infuriating.
have against the Cowboys? He had 87. He only had 87 rushing yards versus the Cowboys. That
Well,
was a lot more.
The problem was Derrick Henry had like 200, so there wasn't
Well,
enough for
that's
Lamar to get. And then Kevin finally gets some of his running backs back. He gets Jamar Gibbs and Devin Singletary. I'm concerned about Devin Singletary. Giants have 2 young running backs who looked pretty decent last week.
Yeah,
And then
Tyrone Tracy's a dog.
yeah.
Maker.
Dude, and he's fast, man. Dude, he was hitting those holes fast.
Yeah, shout out the Giants being the Seahawks last week. And then Justin has Tony Pollard. Sam, you wish the Cowboys kept on to Tony Pollard or no?
I wish they would have kept them, yes, but not for the money. I also think you and I talked about it, I think last year. They should have kept Tony Pollard, or what they did, but they should have kept Ezekiel Elliott for the short yardage stuff. I think they would have kept him. I know it was the money deal, but it was a mistake not keeping Ezekiel and then letting him go this year because this year he really is washed up.
Oh, he's bad this year. He ain't got much left. I feel bad for Zeke.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that one. I think I saw a couple of runs this last game. I was like, dude, I could have done that.
Yeah, and the fact that Justin's just been sitting on Tony Pollard on his bench. It's
Oh
just-
man, I offered people for him. He would not take him.
We're talking with Justin. I think half the league has inquired about Tony Pollard. And then the waiver wire pick of the year so far, Jordan Mason. Looks like he's already off to a great start this week. The fact that Justin was able to scoop this guy up off waivers made his team even more stacked. For receivers, Zay Flowers versus Tank Dell. Zay Flowers got it back going last week after 2 very bad games. I love Zay Flowers. I think he's very talented. It's just when Baltimore's winning, they just pound that ball. So Zay Flowers,
He might have to throw it against Washington.
I think it'll be a high scoring game.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an absolute shootout game in the 30s.
Yeah, Zay Flowers should have a good week. And then Tank Dell, big year last year. So far, not so much this year, but with Nico Collins out, should take a bigger role behind Stephon Diggs, you would think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep,
Didn't Tank Dell get shot in the offseason?
Yeah, he did.
Poor guy.
How do you? Yeah. So
I don't know
Straight
how he
red
got
for a tough
shot,
team.
but yeah, he got shot.
Maybe he balls out. The unfortunate part for Kevin, Justin also has Drake London, wide receiver 7 on the year, and that Atlanta offense is starting to click. Wow, 12 catches, 154, and a TD. Jesus. And then he also has Malik Neighbors, who was number 1 last week, but obviously he didn't play, so now he's down to number 4. But Malik Neighbors is a full-out stud, and he's going to be a stud for years to come. So unfortunately for Kevin, he's got 2 nice receivers, but Justin's got 2 better ones, and I have to go let Teresa in the door. So if you guys want to take the rest of this lineup, go ahead. We're at tight ends.
Tight ends. Well, I have Pat Fryermuth in my other league, so I would definitely take him over K. Dotton. Although, didn't somebody get injured for? No, my bad. I was thinking of New Orleans. K. Dotton's with Tampa Bay. What do you think about
Yeah,
Deebo Samuel?
Yeah, I think Kevin is still a little bit new to fantasy football, maybe. I don't know. Pretty simple rule is never play a Thursday night player in your flex. So that's a mistake. But
Why
You
not
know.
play a Thursday night player in your flex?
Scott.
just gives you more flexibility if you want to make a move. Someone gets scratched.
Yeah, I actually think
Just
Kevin's got
makes sense.
I think Kevin's got a nice team, to be honest. He's been kind of hurt by injuries, but his running backs would be Jamar Gibbs, Singletary, and Taylor if healthy. His receivers would be Flowers, Dell, and Debo. His quarterback's Jalen Hurts. I know he's been terrible so far this year without his 2 receivers, but I
He'll
mean,
have him back this week.
yeah, I think Kevin's got a nice team. I think he'll win more than he has to begin the season. I think Kevin will compete for one of those last playoff spots. And then Justin, his flex, Najee Harris, another running back he's just been sitting on that's just valuable to have during bye week and injuries.
Yeah. So to go to what I was saying, Jonathan Taylor is projected to play this week. Now that he's locked in a flex out of a receiver, he can't move Debo to receiver and replace, say, Tank Dell or Cade or Zay Flowers. He would have to replace Singletary or Gibbs. So it just doesn't give him that option if he wants to activate Taylor off of IR. That's just the reason you don't play a Thursday night player in flex.
I see. So like if he wanted to take out Tank Dell, he wouldn't be able to now because Debo's in the flex spot.
Yep.
Right. He's
That looks
committed
more
to 3
complicated.
receivers now this week.
Interesting. Well, I learned something new today too. And then yeah, he's got Tank Bigsby on the pine, Tyler Lockett. He's got both Seattle receivers here, and then Justin Jefferson on the bench. And this is the one that I think Justin has to be concerned about right here, Mr. Devon Achane. Look at those first 2 weeks. I know Tua got hurt, I believe, in the Buffalo game, but
Correct.
Achane has also left 2 games this season due to injuries.
He does that well, he did that all the time last year, but yeah, you're right. Tua, I have Tua in my other league, and I think he's projected to come back in week 8.
I'll be right here.
Yeah, so that'll be a good game because Arizona has firepower. They could probably, and they have a sucky defense. So, you go in there and have Arizona, blow them out, or have they can just go in for a shootout.
Yeah.
And then Buffalo hasn't been stopping anybody on the ground. They can definitely run and pound the ground on against Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm not a huge
The last time Buffalo stopped anyone on the ground was when Tua scrambled and got knocked out cold.
Yeah,
Yikes.
Yeah.
But even in that game, Etienne as the starting running back still put up nearly 30 fantasy points. But I'm not a huge fan of Devon Etienne. I think he's really fun to watch. But in terms of being my running back on my team, I'd be a little nervous to have Etienne.
Yeah, if he was not such a hefty price tag, draft wise, like if he would have been, in the 7th, 8th, 9th round, and you could be your flex, that'd be just awesome.
Yeah, he'll see an uptick with Tua, but I don't know. It'll never be consistent, I think, right now.
Yep. All right. So he went in the 3rd round. So wait, did Justin draft Drake London in the 2nd round? Yeah. So Justin went Justin Jefferson, then Drake London, Etienne. Interesting. All right. I got Justin winning this one, especially with the hot start from Jordan Mason. Got Justin pulling this victory out, moving to 6-0.
Yeah, I agree. I think Justin gets to win.
Yeah, I mean, me too. But Jordan Mason, I just got a report on Sleeper saying that CMC is trying to come back early November. Early November, I mean, what is that? 3 games from now?
3 weeks, let's say.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it'd probably be after the bye, so it'd probably be week 10 to start.
Yeah. I mean, that could hurt him big time right there. If CMC comes back and then they don't use Jordan Mason as much.
Of course.
Or at all, because CMC is just, they give him the ball and they say, hey, just do your thing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Jordan Mason, if CMC returns, does he still have a role or does he just become unplayable? It'd be interesting to see.
I don't think you should drop him when CMC comes back. You got to hold on to him for a couple weeks to see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See how CMC is. Is he taking a full workload? Is he fully healthy? So
Yeah.
it's not like an immediate, oh, this guy's back, I'm dropping him.
Yep.
I've said this once, I'll say it again. I feel so bad for Johnny. Last year he passed up on CMC, and this year he's the one who drafted CMC.
I didn't know about that.
I don't feel bad at all.
Why did he pass up on CMC? Who did he take last year?
Dude, I drafted CMC 4th overall last year.
That must have been like right in front of me.
So Justin Jefferson,
It was
Austin Eckler,
and then I believe Johnny took Jamar Chase.
Yeah, Jamar Chase all went in front of CMC last year.
Wow.
Yeah, I got lucky last year. All right, in the matchup of the week, Chad versus Sam, though both these teams are hurting this week. Obviously, you got Josh Allen, the cheat code for Chad, Kyler Murray. Sam, little do you know, Scott and I were talking draft strategy to begin the year, and Kyler Murray was the man I wanted. He was the man I fell in love with.
Me too.
But unfortunately, I picked Patrick Mahomes because he was sitting there. I wish I didn't. But for you to get him in the 5th round.
I'm telling you, man, whenever I saw that trade, you took Dak. I mean, you stole Dak, really. Because yeah, Mahomes has not been Mahomes ish for over a year.
Yeah, well, let's see. Dak hasn't had a great start to the season either, so hopefully,
I mean, that's what happened last year, and then he was on a bunch of championship teams because he took them there.
yeah, well, hopefully he does it again. All right, Kenneth Walker off to a
Josh
slow
Allen,
start.
is Josh Allen healthy? He kind of went unconscious last game and then was cleared to play.
Yeah, I think he
So
had a concussion, and I don't think that they're saying anything about it. And not only that, New York Jets, their defense is good.
yeah, I am benching Josh Allen in my other league
Interesting. I mean,
this
look at
week. I
this,
don't
dude.
like the matchup.
Josh Allen goes for 31, 9, 30, 7, and 14.
I
Jesus,
wonder how many of those 14 points was in the first half before he got knocked out, though.
9 of
I don't know.
30.
I think they only had like 3 points at halftime.
Oh,
Yeah, they
well,
did.
yeah, 9 of 30. Yeah, I saw that stat the other day.
Yeah, brutal. Well, Scott, you and I were saying like when you don't have a go-to receiver, and they don't. Khalil Shakir is nice, but he cannot be your wide receiver one. I don't even believe he played last week. So when your best receiver is Keon Coleman, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they got some things to figure out
and Keon's a
in
rookie, isn't
Buffalo
he?
with that
I mean,
offense.
not that it matters, but Keon probably needs to learn a little bit more. Although,
Yeah.
some other rookies, neighbors, are really picking it up fast.
Yeah, and then running backs, you got Zach Moss, which I would be concerned about. Chase Brown's getting much more work over the last 2 weeks compared to the beginning of the year. Chuba Hubbard, great pickup by Chad. Seventh ranked in fantasy so far, off to a slow start, but just started booming as soon as Andy Dalton started taking the snaps in Carolina. Scott,
Atlanta's a
I mean,
good defense.
Sam, what is going on with Bijan? What is going on, man? You drafted him second overall.
My gosh, man.
If I had the number one pick this year, I convinced myself that I was going to go with Bijan. What's going on?
I I had no idea. Although, hopefully with Kirk Cousins turning it on, more and more, it opens up the underneath so that he can have, you know, better holes open for him. I have no idea. Honestly, I don't really care that he runs the ball. I'd rather him have more targets. How many targets does he have? He's on. He only has, top is 5 receptions on in week one. Yeah, that wasn't. He needs to have more. He needs to be up in the 10 reception type deal.
Yeah,
Uh,
and then
that was a good run.
yeah, I see here, dude. 1 touchdown through 5 weeks is pretty rough.
That's the thing too. Yeah, I mean touchdowns. You can't predict touchdowns, but it comes back. If he's not getting touchdowns right now, on average, those are gonna come back. So hopefully, versus Carolina, he gets a couple. Seattle, Tampa Bay's a pretty good defense. He'll get a few against Dallas, I bet.
Well, thankfully for you this week, he's going up against Carolina. Thankfully for you, the whole Atlanta Falcons offense is going up against Carolina because every Falcon should have a big day.
Yeah, I'm kind of concerned with Mooney that way because I mean they're going to be up big and they might just say, "All right, we're going to slow it down."
Yeah. Yeah, and then Darnell Mooney, it's been fantastic. Top 20 receiver so far this season. Again, terrible first week, but just has been booming since. Yeah, Saints game wasn't great, but the Saints I saw haven't allowed a receiver or a quarterback get over 13 fantasy points all season.
Yeah, Saints uh defensive backs, they're good. They'll shut you down. Same with Denver. Um
Yep. If you're
who
going,
else? Somebody else I can't remember. Minnesota's pretty good too.
if you have a wide receiver one going up against the Broncos, don't play him. He's going to get Patrick Surtained.
Mm-hmm.
Chad's got Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs already ranked 8th. Should go up even higher, getting the extra target since Nico Collins is out.
Yeah.
And then Jaden Reed. Scott, what do you think Jaden Reed's value is? Who would you give up to acquire Jaden Reed?
I
Not
don't know.
necessarily on your team.
Jaden Reed has been really good. I just don't. is he the number one guy? Is Romeo Dobbs the number one guy now that he's going to be back? Wicks is maybe the most talented guy. Christian Watson, y-
I think Wicks is the
I
number
don't
one.
know. I
Wicks
don't
is the
really
number
trust
one.
anyone
Christian
in that
Watson is the
Packers.
guy that spreads the defense.
Yeah, Jaden Reed is interesting. I mean, he's a top 5 receiver so far in fantasy football. You can hand him the ball off as here. He has a carry in every single game. You can throw him the ball deep. He can go into the slot or out wide. I have no idea what I would give up for Jaden Reed.
Yeah, I would ride the wave, but if someone's willing to give up something,
Debo.
I think I'd move him if I were Chad. I know he doesn't want to, but I I don't know. I don't see this continuing
Okay, so like this would
at
be
this level.
interesting. Would, of course, with team needs, it would be different. Would you give up Jaden Reed for Jamar Gibbs?
Me? No, I would not.
Oh, not Jamar Gibbs, no.
How about Jaden Reed for let's say who's another one of those backs who's like a 15 through 20? How about DeAndre Swift? Jaden Reed or DeAndre Swift?
I
Swift
don't
just
believe in
because I have
DeAndre
value
Swift.
running back depth.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pro running back, so I would lean towards a running back every time. But Jaden Reed, Chad, hell of a pick. Well done. Keenan Allen, Sam, talk us through this one. Talk us through this one.
He's a guy. No, Keenan Allen was hurt. You see that he was hurt in those 2 games. He's still building their rapport with Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has been coming on every single week. So, maybe he turns it up a little bit more at Jacksonville, and then in the bye they work more, and then he becomes the guy. And really, I think Keenan Allen is more the guy that he would want to throw to in the end zone. I think Keenan Allen is that guy.
Do you remember the hot stretch Keenan Allen went on to begin last season?
Yeah, I had him in my other league. I think it was.
Sam, I think you traded AJ Brown to get Keenan Allen in a huge deal with RJ.
Oh, was that? I can't remember which league it was. Yeah,
Keenan Allen, PPR god for years and years of just 11 catches for 80 yards. And then Tucker Kraft, a great tight end signee. Sam, well done. I mean, struggled early, but he is already number 3 tight end.
yeah. In this economy, yeah.
Yeah, Scott and I were talking.
Tight ends are just oof.
Yeah,
I heard y'all talking about tight ends. I was like, yeah, they're brutal, man.
When I
Again,
saw,
I have
I
Kittle
dropped
who's
hits.
ranked second, and he has not caught a ball yet. So tonight,
I drop hits. Oh, look at that.
big time Debo Samuel touchdown.
oh, so that helps Kevin. See, Scott, Kevin's telling you, fuck your idea for the flex. He's gonna play Debo wherever he wants.
Hey,
Yeah.
But yeah, tight ends are tough. When I saw Jake Ferguson on waivers, I called my mom, told her the good news. And then Jalen Tolbert, the Dallas boy, going up against Sam. And then it looks here, Chad doesn't really have any wiggle room because he's got Pacheco in the IR, Kyron on a bye. He can't drop these guys, maybe Alan Lazard, but it looks like Chad does not want to drop this number 1 defense. So Sam, you might be playing up a man this week.
Chad, just keep him, man. Yeah, don't drop him. Just keep him there. You're fine. You'll be all right.
Oh, the battle of the kickers, the number 2 kicker versus the number 1 kicker.
That's funny.
And then, yeah, Sam, we were talking before Scott jumped on. Brutal 2 weeks for you. Rashee Rice goes down out for the year. Shout out Patrick Mahomes for taking out your boy's knee. And then Nico Collins get put on IR. I mean, it changes the team certainly when you lose 2 top 5 receivers back-to-back weeks.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this one's
pick up
going to be
people
a
like
close one.
Allen.
And I also think these are two teams who are either going to be in the playoffs or competing at the very end. This one's a tough one. I am going to lean Sam because I think Chad playing one man down is going to hurt him. I think Sam will win a close matchup.
Yeah, I mean it's only what 54-46.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one. Scott, what do you think?
I would give the edge to Sam for that same reason. I'm down on Josh Allen this week. I think that plays a factor. I wouldn't be surprised if he puts up single digits.
Interesting. Maybe the
So I think that's the other key to the game.
the cheat code of Josh Allen may be ending. All
I think
right.
Josh Allen's still going to be top 5 quarterback the rest of the season. I just against the Jets, Monday Night Football, probably concussed.
New
Not
coach.
They're
liking
in New York. They're in New York. Yeah, they're in New York. Yeah.
New coach.
New
new
coach.
coach. It's a motivation game. Josh
Yeah.
Allen last year in New York lost to Zach Wilson. So
Shout
Brutal.
Zach Wilson for dating moms. All right. Next game, RJ versus Mike. See, this is why I feel bad for RJ. I don't have to click on this, and I see that he already has negative points. Poor RJ. Geno Smith threw the pick. RJ versus Mike. Mike's first year in the league, he's been railed by injuries. Scott, we talked about this last week that his top 3 picks, Puka, Brown, and Mixon, have all missed multiple weeks already this season.
Yeah,
we've said it. Hate complaining about injuries, but Mike has the right to.
Yeah. And Joe Burrow, obviously last week went nuts with Jamar Chase. He's getting it going. I find it crazy that they're 1-4 or whatever they are, and Joe Burrow has 12 touchdowns and 2 picks.
It's their defense.
Yeah, Sunday Night Football this week against the G-Men.
Yeah, the New York G-Men. And then
That'll be a good game.
Geno's nice. I love Geno Smith. I love his story. To be a fantasy quarterback each and every week, I would be hesitant, but hopefully he can keep putting up big numbers because he's had a good year so far.
Mhm.
J.K. Dobbins, I think J.K. Dobbins got off to a remarkable start. I don't see it continuing. I would have tried to so high as I can with J.K. Dobbins. I just don't see how he stays within a top 20, 25 running back throughout the year. But for where RJ drafted him, great value in the 9th round.
I mean, who do you think is going to take over there in LA?
I just think that the Chargers play such slow moving offense that they have to be winning in order for J.K. Dobbins to get enough balls.
Yeah, because
they want to pound the rock.
Do much.
Yeah, and you know what? It worked the first 2 weeks. In the last 2 weeks, they have played better defenses in Pittsburgh and Kansas City. So I guess we'll see this week against Denver, who also has a really good defense.
Really good defense.
And then Javonte Williams, it feels like for years, Javonte Williams is supposed to have been this PPR guy, just a solid guy you can trust. And every year he just disappoints. But back-to-back weeks with double digits, maybe he's on a hot stretch. But not much hope.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on it. I've lost all faith in Javonte. He was sitting on waivers a couple weeks ago, I believe. Maybe not.
Oh,
but yeah.
I was so happy whenever I saw Beatty or whatever his name was. I mean, he went off. Look up Beatty. Hold on, I'll look him up.
Yeah, that's their young rookie running back, right?
Yeah.
All right, Sam, as you're looking him up, I'm going to keep going. Justice Hill is a nice backup. I would be really hesitant to start him, but again, Mike's been pounded with injuries, so he's just trying to find guys to play. Justice Hill should have a good game, though, I think, on Sunday, because they're going to be throwing the ball. It's going to be a lot of touchdowns, a lot of points. I think he'll catch quite a few balls on Sunday.
Yeah, against Tampa Bay, he had 9 carries for 70 yards, 7.8 yard average. And I thought and
How
he
many weeks
looked good.
was that?
Sometimes you just got to go with the young guy, the young running back, if you're an NFL team.
Yep.
Forget who you're paying. Just go with the guy who's moving the rock.
Yep. And then the big matchup this week, Jamar Chase, the number one receiver in fantasy football so far after he put up 40 last week against AJ Brown's first game back, but going up against the Browns defense should have a big game. I
Well,
expect these two to now.
if Denzel Ward travels to cover AJ Brown, he'll have trouble. Denzel Ward has been okay for the Browns. If he's lined up against any of the other corners or defensive backs, it's a guaranteed touchdown.
Well, Scott, when I was at your apartment on Sunday, you were like, please just shadow Terry McLaurin. And he just didn't.
Yeah, and the Giants did it in that game where they just lined neighbors up in the slot and the Browns refused to. They were just like, yeah, we'll put the nickel on him, no big deal.
Cleveland Browns football.
Didn't work.
And then Chris Olave. Oh, RJ
Spencer Rattler starting at quarterback for the Saints this week. So
RJ needed Chris Olave to score like 6 fantasy points last week to win that week. And he just Chris Olave, man.
That's dotted RJ.
Chris Olave, very talented, but I think will always be a wide receiver too in terms of fantasy football. Nothing ever more.
Just doesn't have
and with
consistent
Derek Carr,
quarterback play.
Yeah. And then with Derek Carr being out, let's see what Spencer Rittler can do. And then Brandon Ayuk, terrible first start to the season. Got it going last week. Scott, last year you called Ayuk a dog because he was on your team. Do you still think he's a dog?
no, I think he's a solid fantasy wide receiver too. But inconsistent another offense where you never know where the ball's going to go. They'll feature someone different every game, and that'll just become a bigger issue with McCaffrey.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's going to be Debo, if it's going to be Ayuk, if it's going to be Kittle.
Yeah. And that's what happened last year, didn't it? They had some games where they would feature Kittle. They would had some games where they would feature Debo. I mean, that's just how it went. So I think CMC was a little bit more constant, but everybody else, they had their games, and then they had their games where they didn't do not much.
Yeah, and maybe part of that is what is the defense giving them? Is the defense like, hey, we're going to take away Kittle?
Yeah.
Are we going to take away Debo? Or hey, we're just going to play man up and see what happens?
Yeah. Brandon Ayuk.
But Ayuk hasn't done anything in one quarter of football tonight.
Yeah, well, if they keep winning, if they keep blowing out the Seahawks, he's not going to. So, Mike, you better hope that this game gets a little bit more high scoring than Kincaid versus Brock Bowers. I love me some Brock Bowers in real life football, the number one tight end so far in fantasy football. But again, who knows with the tight end position? Garrett Wilson finally got it going last week. Massive game. Garrett Wilson was drafted in the second round.
Those people talking about probably dropping him.
No, I would never drop Garrett Wilson. I would never drop Garrett Wilson. I would try to trade him.
I'd try to trade him for the name, yeah.
Yeah, and then George Pickens. I think George Pickens is a very talented wide receiver, but in that Steelers offense, he'll never, he'll be a wide receiver 3. He'll be a flex consideration, but nothing ever too much more. And then here, this is the interesting one for RJ. As of right now, RJ's rolling J.K. Dobbins and Javonte Williams over one of his top picks, Rachaad White. Rachaad White was drafted in the 3rd round. Look at these awful fantasy numbers by a supposed to be RB2, possibly a low-end RB1 in terms of PPR. But RJ's got Bucky Irving as well, and they're like splitting the carries. Bucky Irving looks much better. Must suck. That's a tough situation. Do you play Rachaad White for the name, or do you play Javonte Williams or J.K. Dobbins to get a little bit more volume?
Who are they playing? The Bucks.
The Bucks are playing the Saints.
Uh,
And the thing is, like, J.K. Dobbins is going up against Denver's defense. Javonte Williams is going up against the Chargers defense. That's going to be a low scoring 17-13 ball game. I have no idea what I would do here if I was RJ.
I would probably play Rashad White, hope he sneaks into the end zone, gets a goal line touch, but don't love my options. Probably playing Rashad White for the name. I don't trust Javante, as I've already said.
I mean, the problem is Rashad White hasn't scored a touchdown this. Oh my God, look at these average carries: 2.1, 1.8, 2.8. And the only reason why this is a 7.2, he had like a 50-yard run last
Yeah.
That he
Thursday.
ran out of gas.
Yeah.
He ran out of gas and needed some oxygen.
Let's check Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving has one touchdown. Geez, they just don't run the ball near the goal line. They must just throw fades to Mike Evans
Yeah.
all day.
Look at that, but the
Baker Mayfield's been
average
balling out.
6.9, 2.1, 7.8. Yeah, Baker Mayfield, man. That's another guy that I wish I would have just drafted in my other league where I have a super flex. I just didn't pull that trigger fast enough. I should have. He's
Yeah.
been balling, yeah. They call him Laser Fit Mayfield in the podcast that I listen to.
Yeah, and this is a big week for both these teams. I mean, 2-4 sounds a whole lot better than 1-5. And if Mike wins, he pulls to 3-3 instead of 2-4. Just looking at the games right now, looking at the scores, I am going, and again, this is a total guess because this one's too close to call. I'm just going to guess Mike pulls this out because I think Justin Hill will have a nice week. I think AJ Brown will have a big week, and Joe Burrow should have a nice week against the Giants.
Yeah, his guys aren't going up against stout defenses like what's his name?
RJ's.
RJ's, yeah.
Scott, who you going with?
I think this is a toss-up, personally. If I had to lean one way, I'd probably go Mike, but it really is a toss-up. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, they kind of cancel each other out a little bit.
Yeah.
Gino struggling early, but he could bortle it up in the second half.
If I was Mike,
Nothing really stands out.
and I'm
me.
thinking long term, Brown, Ayuk, or Puka, one of them got to go for a running back. You can't having Justin Hill as your number 2 running back. I think at some point you need to make a move for a running back because if you look here, I mean, the only other running back he has on his bench, on his roster, would be Charbonnet. And as long as Kenneth Walker's around, it's not great. I would consider moving one of these guys. I have no idea what you can get
Who's
for
the
him.
number 4 receiver there? Like, who would be the 4th guy after those 3?
Christian Kirk, George Pickens.
Well, Rashid Shaheed has, well, now that he doesn't have Carr, we'll see. Because Rashid Shaheed and Carr, they had like a connection. And now that he's not there, I mean, he might be one of those guys that you could. We'll see how he ends up with Rattler.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I don't know what you can get for them, but I would at least consider it. And the last matchup of the week, Jimmy versus Dan. I have a story I've never said before. When Jimmy changed his team to bye week, I almost didn't realize I'm playing another opponent, so I almost didn't set my lineup because it said bye week. And I don't know if he did that on purpose or what, but when I saw that, I'm like, wait, do I have a bye week or not?
Well, that's kind of dumb on your part because you made the league and no.
Why did you add bye weeks into the schedule?
I mean, yeah, I am the commissioner, but that wasn't really the point of the story.
No, I just thought you had added bye weeks.
No. All right, and last matchup, we were just talking about Baker Mayfield, shake and bake. Yeah, he already has 2 rushing touchdowns this year. He's got several passing touchdowns, only 2 picks. They have those top 2 receivers over there and then dump downs to Rashad White and Bucky Irving. They have a nice offense. And then Justin Fields, I'm happy for Justin Fields. He's had a good year so far in Pittsburgh. It'd be really cool if Justin Fields can take Pittsburgh to the playoffs. I know obviously their defense leads the way, but as long as he doesn't turn the ball over, they'll win a lot of games.
That's all they need. They don't
Breaking
need-
fantasy news.
Yeah, who's that?
Jordan
down?
Mason is hurt.
Oh yeah, he's down.
Do you see what happened?
It was just
Yeah,
a
it
run.
took a shot. It looked like he was holding his chest, but looks like he's in a lot of pain.
Well, if Jordan Mason goes out, then whoever the third string for the Niners is about to be the number one waiver ad.
Garendo, let me see. if I
Shout
can-
out Johnny. You're getting a running back.
I mean, you can pick him up right now, couldn't you? Or since the
No.
game started,
No,
you have
because
to
the
wait.
game started.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You'd have to wait because the game started.
Well, good for you, Johnny. Now you have Christian McCaffrey and the Niners' third string running back.
Yeah, he's got first dibs on waiver.
I mean, who knows? Maybe he wins this week. And then you got Austin Eckler, James Conner versus
one.
Brees Hall, Alvin Kamara. Huge advantage here for Dan with having Brees Hall, though. Brees Hall has been very shaky the last couple weeks. I expect him to get back going on the
And
board.
holler at me if you want to get rid of Brees Hall.
And then I actually think Alvin Kamara's value is probably going to go up a little bit. He's either going to get screens a ton with Spencer throwing the ball or just dump downs, and he's going to get so many carries. Alvin Kamara is just a full out fantasy stud.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of yards this week, but probably close to 10 catches.
Where did he take Alvin Kamara right there?
Alvin Kamara was drafted second round, but Scott and I mentioned this last week. He was projected to go later.
Oh, he was?
Dan picked him like a round early.
Oh, wow.
Of course, according to what ESPN had projected, it doesn't really mean a ton. You should draft your guys. But yeah, ESPN had Kamara going in the third round, I believe.
I had my notes.
Yeah, he
on
was
it.
lined up like perfectly for my third round pick if it was auto drafted, and Dan took him in the second. Because I know I was targeting him in the third, but I don't think he even made it to my second round pick.
All right, and then Jimmy Austin Eckler, who's actually been nice this year, double digits in all his games. That's just a solid running back to have stashed on your team.
Yeah.
James Conner, obviously top 10 running back. I love me some James Conner. Scott, you and I would call him a tough runner, a strong runner.
Yeah.
Sam, if you've ever seen a soft runner in the NFL, go check out DeAndre Swift highlights. He might be the softest runner in the NFL.
Does he
That
just get
dude-
pushed over?
That dude gets stood up on the goal line every snap. Awful goal line back. And then Mike Evans, Michael Pittman. I actually saw Michael Pittman is out, and they might put him on IR.
Yep, that's what I heard. Jordan Mason.
Yeah, and Evans is going up against Lattimore this weekend at corner.
They love each
There's a little
other.
history there.
They're
Yeah,
really
a little
good friends.
history there. Lattimore usually gets the better of him, though.
All right.
So Garendo's the first guy up. Jordan Mason did walk off. He's going into the locker room right now.
Well, the Niners already being up 13-0 probably tells them if he's even questionable, they might sit him out, to be honest. But shout out to you, Johnny. Your new running back, Isaac Garendo. And then you got Chris Godwin, Jacoby Myers, Chris Godwin. Wow, this team has 2 top 10 receivers so far in fantasy this year. Chris Godwin, number 6, Mike Evans at number 10. That's crazy to have 2 top 10 receivers on the same team. Jacoby Myers, he's going to get a bunch of targets. Scott, is Aiden McConnell starting on Sunday, or is that Minshew?
He is. Aiden O'Connell is the starting quarterback on Sunday, and it's about time the Raiders decided they wanted to win football games.
Are you predicting a Raiders victory against the Steelers with the switch at quarterback?
Yes, I am.
Interesting.
I don't think it'll be a blowout. Steelers have a good defense. I say low-scoring game, but the Raiders get the win.
All right, and then
I really thought the Raiders would have a lot more stout defense than they've had so far this year. I picked them up to be my defense, and it just didn't turn out the way I thought it was going to be. I thought, what's his name? What's our
Max
coach over
Crosby.
there?
Oh, their coach Antonio Pierce.
Antonio Pierce was going to like really put his little touches on it. He was a very smart linebacker with the Giants.
Well, there's only so much you can do if you're not on the field.
Yeah, I don't like that he wears a hoodie all the time. I know it's inside, but they're in Las Vegas. Why are you wearing a hoodie on the sidelines, man? You're sweating bullets.
That's what
Like we
Scott
can see it
notices.
on TV.
That's what Scott
It was
notices about the
bothering me.
Raider games.
And also an interesting note on the Raiders, now that they have an actual quarterback, Devontae Adams doesn't want to leave. He said once he's healthy, he'll come back to playing.
Shut up! Are you serious?
Devontae is a believer in his new quarterback.
Devontae Adams is an overrated diva who benefited off Aaron Rodgers for years. And then
Well, now he's going to benefit off of Aiden O'Connell.
you have two tight ends. I believe these were the first two tight ends off the board, Trey McBride and Sam Laporta. Trey
Probably
McBride.
Kelsey.
Oh, yeah, Kelsey, yeah. Trey McBride, number 10 tight end. Sam Laporta, not even a top 20 tight end currently.
Man, I wanted Trey McBride.
Yeah, Trey McBride's nice. I expect Trey McBride and Sam Laporta both to kind of get it going throughout the year. Amon-Ra, obviously just a fantastic receiver, but he's been a little disappointing this year, only at 20th, but they did have a bye. Yeah, I mean, look at these back-to-back weeks plus 20.
Yeah, they're gonna be. He's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
So, I before the season started, and that's why I picked up Jared Goff. I had heard that Jared Goff does really good indoors, and they're gonna have like 17 of their 18 games were gonna be indoors
Jesus.
this season, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick up Jared Goff, see what he does. He hasn't really panned out yet, but hopefully he starts picking it up more. If anything, to get Amon-Ra, Laporta, Gibbs going a little bit better than they have been.
Yeah, the Lions are kind of a weird team. I don't know what to think of the Lions. They're fun to watch. They have talented players, but I don't know if they could ever win a Super Bowl currently. I don't know. They're a weird team. Brian Robinson, top 10 running back. This might be one of the picks of the draft. Dan was able to get him in the 6th round. With Jaden Daniels doing what he's doing, their running game, their offense is just high-powered and fantastic. Brian Robinson's going to be just a good value all season long. And
Another
then,
guy who got shot.
yeah, another guy who got shot.
Oh
Then
yeah,
Devontae Adams has been out for a couple weeks for Dan. Jimmy, you need to cut Ezekiel Elliott.
Dan,
Sam,
if you want to trade me Devontae, hit me up because he's about to ball out.
no shot.
hey, I'm a Cowboy fan, true and true. I dropped Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, Zeke's got to go. Zeke had that touchdown in week 1 and then just disastrous.
Yeah. I mean, look at his average yards per run, 2.7, 2.0.
Hey, Zeke is really good this year if you want a 2nd and 8.
Well, that's why I told everybody last year he's not going to get you the long runs, but you know what? He's a good hard runner for 3 yards.
Yeah. And then
He falls forward.
Yeah.
he falls forward. And then with Jimmy, with Pittman going out, he'll just fill in with Devontae Smith. I forgot Jimmy had Devontae Smith, so he'll be fine there. But hopefully one of these two backs don't get hurt for Jimmy, because if one of these two go down, Jimmy doesn't. At least he's got Trey Benson if James Conner goes down as a handcuff, but doesn't have much running back depth on his bench. And then obviously Dan traded for Patrick Mahomes, Alexander Madison. I'm not touching anyone in that backfield. I'll never draft Zamir White again. And the Vikings are on a bye. This is going to be a close matchup, I think, but I got Dan pulling it through, moving to 4-2.
I think you're right. I think that Brees Hall's gonna have a good day. I think Alvin Kamara's gonna have a really good day. Same for Chris Godwin. Well, Chris Godwin. Well, he plays a lot in the slot, so he'll do good against New Orleans.
Scott, I'm assuming you're taking Dan.
If Devontae Smith plays and Jimmy puts him in there, I like his chances. I I think Kamara will have a really good week. I don't think he'll have a great week. Same with Brees Hall. Baker's due for a down week. Uh, give me give me Jimmy if Devontae Smith plays.
Gotcha. Interesting. All right, so those are all the matchups. Obviously we got the matchup of the week between Sam and Chad that I'll be posting in the group me, but I do want to show this real fast with Debo's long touchdown run and with Jordan Mason already has 8 fantasy points. If he doesn't come back,
Oh,
maybe
that might.
maybe Kevin can start creeping up on Justin's projected score.
Yeah, that projection. Well, what did it start off at? At one, it was at one. It's at 134 now for Justin, but that can't be right. That has to come down.
Yeah, I don't know what it was at. I know Kevin skyrocketed due to the Debo Samuel 18 points already.
Something I forgot to mention earlier. Last week I said, "Why is his name State Farm?" You were able to get that information.
Yeah, Sam,
Oh yeah, I heard you say that. I heard you ask about it.
can you figure out the
Yeah.
riddle, Sam? It has something to do with a last name on someone on his team. So someone in this starting lineup. Can you crack the code?
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Yeah, from Malik Neighbors. I asked him if he made it up himself, and he said yeah, and I thought it was very clever.
That is very clever. Yeah.
Shout out to you, Justin, for the clever name. But all right, that is going to end the show for this week. Good luck to everyone out there. Johnny, I hope you beat Scott this week. No offense, Scott.
You said you wanted me to win earlier, so
I know
yeah.
I am changing my mind. I want Johnny to pull off the upset simply just because I know that it'll just tear at your heartstrings just a little bit more coming from Johnny.
Johnny, good luck, man.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Good luck this week, and I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. See you guys.
See you.
Guys.